Okay, we're starting with the laughter. That's always a good sign.
All right, hello everyone. This is Deep Divers, and we are Natalie and Mark, your dedicated deep divers duo, which actually makes 4D in short, even though it has nothing to do with the fourth dimension. Also, you might want to try to play with alternate versions. Dynamic duo is a little bit old, but some might want to call us the devilish duo, or at the other side of the spectrum, the divine duo.
Yeah, we hold the whole spectrum.
We hold the whole spectrum.
And we are skipping roles from time to time.
So, actually, I'm now realizing that this is actually going to allow me to make a transition, a very smooth transition with the topic of the day, which is the parting of ways. You could also call it the parting of realities. And you have actually received a request. Okay, that's too much actually. You have in fact received a request, Natalie, from one of our listeners who asked whether we could address that theme. And because we can address literally anything, we said, yes, of course, we can address it. So the parting of ways refers to people at the moment here on Earth seeming to live in different realities to a certain extent, different bubbles of reality, if you wish. So we are going to dive deep into that subject and try to explore as many layers as possible. And I don't know what prompted Carrie to address that request to you, but I have noticed on the We Are Infinite forum recently that someone started a thread of this, a discussion thread that is in fact related, completely related with that subject. And I would like to quickly read it because it will enable us to set up the decor, so to speak, for our discussion. So let's see. So, hi everyone. The past few days I'm having an odd experience. I'd be keen to see if anyone else is having a similar sensation and our thoughts on what it could mean. I keep having this feeling like the COVID-19 epidemic and all the other events of 2020 are, little a, happening on a different planet or timeline that's irrelevant to me and my life here. Little b, happened historically and is a memory. Little c, kind of isn't real somehow. It doesn't feel like the events are grounded in reality. It's the oddest sensation, because I do know it all is playing out. But it seems like a superficial level show, a layer of existence that's not as real as, say, Mother Earth. Yeah, you bet it isn't. I can see images of people in hospital, for instance, and feel like it's happening somewhere else, very far away from me. This feeling became stronger today, and today was a little over 1 week ago. I know factually that I am in 2020. Of course, I believe the virus and all its consequences exist, and I take that seriously. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's not that I'm feeling like it's all a hoax or that I'm dismissing the reality that people are losing loved ones, working hard in hospitals, not that hard at the moment actually, involved in riots, etc. I would wear a mask if necessary. Please don't do that. Do not wear a mask because it's not necessary, nor useful, nor healthy. And I'm working from home and doing all the social distancing stuff, which from a health perspective has no utility at all, by the way. But the events playing out feel like they're happening in a world I'm not involved with or part of. Like I'm watching that reality, but not in it. That's very interesting. It's very well expressed. Does anyone else have a similar feeling? It's not the same, that's very interesting as well. It's not the same as denial or dissociation. I've been in denial before and know that energy. I'm sure I'm in denial of a lot of other things. And I used to dissociate a lot in my earlier life. Dissociation is very floaty for me, and this feels nothing like that. This sensation is in my energy field, just behind my body. And it's coming from a different level of myself than psychological issues arise from. Anyone else? Any thoughts? I'm wary of reality tricks or tricks of consciousness and don't want to assume this is good or bad, like either of those labels are entirely accurate anyway. For context, I live in an area with very few cases, with some possible cases kicking off now. I haven't experienced any real panic or distress about COVID, partly because I listened to the coronavirus. She's referring to a webinar that by George Cavasilas that Natalie and I also listened to. What was the title of that webinar?
I think the coronavirus.
I believe there was another word, but it was mainly the coronavirus. So, and I got into George's words soon after the pandemic started. There wasn't even a pandemic, by the way, judging by the mortality rate, the global mortality rate. The number of deaths is not superior to the average of the previous years, so there was no pandemic at all. We phased out of coronavirus during that session. Indeed, we did. Could that be why I have this feeling like it's not 100% in my reality? So would you like me now to read some of the comments, or would you like to jump in right away, Natalie?
Just a short jump in. The first name of the person to credit her. Yeah. Shout out to Carrie, who ignited this journey, who asked it initially, and who asked the question because I think there's really everything in it. It's really very well put. Yeah.
Yeah, very well. So I must say her name because it's so beautiful. Her name is Sophie Rose. Oh. I don't know whether that's her actual birth name or her chosen name, but we certainly resonate with that name.
We do, yeah. Okay, so jump into the comments and maybe own ideas of yours.
So the first one, sometimes it feels like I'm not even a part of this world anymore. Like the part of me deeply rooted in this third dimensional frequency is being absorbed by my inner being and preparing for the shift to really get going. It's not a depressed feeling. At the same time, more of my real presence is grounding into this reality. I've been feeling lots of joy and humor. Good for you as this transition progresses. Knowing that I'm an infinite being, temporarily experiencing this intense realm, doing the reintegration thing. It's hard to take this whole COVID-19 situation seriously when we are all being played like a fiddle. Be an interesting last half of 2020. Well, I would say so as well. I'm expecting it to be very interesting. So then we have another post here addressing the little C that Sophie had written, which was kind of isn't real somehow. And Xana was saying, I could say the same. I don't say the virus isn't real. It is definitely something. But at the same time, all this stuff going on, I just feel like I'm between the worlds. Not here, not somewhere else. I noticed that the last 5 months I wanted to sleep even if I sleep enough. Also, I have a feeling like space become more compressed, like some overlay getting upon us. I don't understand what exactly they want to do with all this virus play and where exactly I want to land my awareness. What an interesting expression. Where exactly I want to land my awareness. And the last one, I am feeling outside of the COVID timeline too. I manage a 30 apartment senior complex, age 62 or more, working 3.5 days a week. Nothing in my world has changed as the result of COVID until this past week. They say we are a hot spot here in Twin Falls, Idaho, but I am not feeling that. All of the tenants at my apartment complex have remained healthy. I do not wear a mask, and neither do they except when they go out. My point being, I have to be directly confronted with the playing out of the COVID timeline 3.5 days a week due to my responsibility for keeping my tenants as safe as possible. I can't tell you how sick I am to read that word safe, but never mind, that's me. In spite of that, I feel untouched and believe the key is in keeping your frequency high. I am so grateful to George for the closure we did during Empire of the Ants. Okay, that's another webinar that we attended with our friend George. I believe that provided the needed supportive foundation for me to maintain my frequency as I integrate and merge my multidimensional self here in the present. All right. Well, that was a short but very, very rich thread.
It is indeed, because it really it covers so many different angles. So yeah, thank you for finding this, and shout out to everybody who has already kind of answered the question, kind of. But of course, we are diving deeper as always. Yeah, even that. And for me, it is as if we are been offered a reality with all the fuss they make and the constant effort to make this a reality, and they need us to invest our own energy to create this reality. And at the moment we really have to decide which reality we want to live in. And me personally, I'm jumping from this reality to the other because of my daily life, where I have to engage in the hive mind reality, because for me this is another point of view. For me, this is the hive mind.
Oh, yes.
Totally. And what we are experiencing is our singularity, in opposition to the Lemminge that are going in a direction that is really, really unpleasant. And because of the many people, it has a kind of gravity towards it. And they really take a lot of effort to create this gravity towards this reality, with talking about the second wave coming now, and making up stuff even from time to time, to really
I would say all the time.
Yeah, I don't know, because I have experienced symptoms myself, and I know people who have had.
I don't say the whole thing is fake, but I say they are making up stuff about it all the time.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. To blow the whole thing out of proportion, totally. And so they are creating a reality that is not a reality. And I think the people from the forum, a lot of them, they simply have this level of awareness why it doesn't feel real to them, because the reality that is presented doesn't even exist. It doesn't even exist because it is shown to us in the newspapers and on the live vision. And so it is not a reality, and people who are really connected with themselves, they feel that it is not real, and it is not the reality they have chosen. And I think all of us, we have to choose in 2020 where we are going to invest our energy. And for me, it is personally, it's really, really important to always come back to myself, to always anchor within myself, to connect with nature, as this is our natural organic timeline.
Yeah. So first I would like to say, because you mentioned that dreaded second wave that we are being threatened with every single day. Every epidemiologist knows that the second wave is a totally unknown concept in epidemiology. It was never seen, never observed, never reported, never described, ever. And certainly not for this type of bell-shaped epidemic. So you never have a bell-shaped epidemic with, after a while, a second bell. Never. You won't be able to find a single scientific study, a single scientific paper, as flawed as they might be, like we discussed in the previous episode. You won't find a single one describing that phenomenon. It is entirely invented, it is entirely made up for the specific purpose of keeping fear alive and kicking, fear and propaganda. So, because we are in the middle of summer now in the northern hemisphere, and so of course it's all but disappeared now. There is no epidemic anymore. And even in the southern hemisphere, from what I've heard, Taking the example of New Zealand, which is in the middle of the winter now, there is absolutely no second wave in New Zealand. So it's pure invention. Now, regarding that subject of multiple realities, it's a really vast subject because at a cosmic level, we have the biggest manifestation of that phenomenon, which is parallel universes, which is a concept that was discovered by quantum physics. But it's not just a concept, it is a reality. And me, I don't have any conscious awareness of having traveled to alternate universes, parallel universes, but some people have. And of course, with our dear friends from the Secret Space Program, they have technology that enables them to go to parallel universes where they try to hide the stuff they don't want to be, when they don't want to be caught red-handed by some other players, they try to hide what they're doing in alternate universes. Not that it's entirely successful, but let's leave that to rest for the moment. So with all these parallel universes, they are our universe, just in a slightly different version. How different to what, when I say slightly, I'm not sure to what extent it can be different. It could be much more different than I imagine, but not different to the point that the laws of physics would be different, for instance. It will be the same reality infrastructure. Situations and events might be very different. And the version of ourselves in these universes might be very different as well. So you could be a very, very different Natalie.
I'm a very different Natalie every day.
You might not even be Natalie in that other universe.
Yeah, I see. Okay. Yeah, I know people who don't call me Natalie. They say darling, or others say you evil bitch.
Maybe they know you from a parallel universe.
Yeah, seems to be. Because actually the different realities, I'm not sure when you said you're not aware that you have been traveling to others. I'm not sure if we are not doing it constantly. Because sometimes we know this, we have a memory and it is a total different one than the people around us have. And also, well, I think everybody has their own version of reality, kind of. For example,
Yes.
if you are married, one person might think they are living in a really truthful and harmonious relationship, while the other is, well, is living a totally different life, which the partner is totally unaware of. Yeah. So people are living in very different realities, or at your working place. I have people who say they hate every bit they have to do there, while I am living or working under the same circumstances and I'm totally relaxed. And also having this different attitude creates total different outcome. Person who, for example, totally despise their job, they are in trouble all the time. their phone is ringing endlessly, everything is, their computer is crashing down, and they have
Yes.
people who are complaining all day
Yeah.
long, while I'm having a chat and a coffee, and at the end of the day, I have done a lot of work,
Yes.
actually, yeah,
Mm.
in a totally relaxed way. So we all create our reality, kind
Mhm.
of. But what happens if many, many people agree on the same reality? I
Mhm.
think there is a key.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, I addressed the really macrocosmic
yeah,
aspect of this.
yeah,
You are presenting the very microcosmic
yeah,
aspect of this, which is the individual reality that we all create, that because we are all the prime creators of our own reality, whether we realize that or not. So indeed, it's much better to deliberately create your reality than to do it unconsciously without awareness of what you're doing, because then you'll find yourself in the kind of situation that you just described, Natalie, or at least you are the risk of finding yourself in that kind of situation. And of course, the other major risk that you are at is of having your creative power being used by someone else who knows how to apprehend and exploit your creative power by presenting you with a narrative like a pandemic, for instance, that is going to channel your creative expression, the kind of reality that you are manifesting in a certain direction. So that's been the name of the game for a long time. That's what really skilled controllers do. They don't hit you with a whip. They are presenting you with a story. They're presenting you with a story, and if that story is convincing enough, you're going to invest your creative energy into that story. And it's jackpot for the storytellers. So that is, I believe, in part, that is part of the answer to what Sophia Rose, what a beautiful name. Sophia, I'm repeating myself in old age, I suppose, but never mind.
it's really beautiful. Yeah,
So that is part of the answer to what Sophia Rose was describing. And I believe we should also address the subject of timelines. What are exactly timelines? To me, timelines is not as big, or alternate timelines are not as all-encompassing as parallel universes are. They are more uh, small-scale, small-sized versions of alternate realities. And the phenomenon that we are currently living, as I understand it, is that we have our main timeline, which is what you call the organic one, the natural one. And that timeline is more vibrant than the others. It has more potency. It is more real, you could say. It
yeah,
is more real.
that
It
is
has,
what people are feeling. Yeah, sorry
yeah,
for the
yeah.
interruption.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. Yeah, yeah. I believe indeed it's what the people who posted are feeling. They are more in tune with uh, the the organic timeline that has more realness, more reality to it, than with the alternate ones. Now, why would you witness an alternate timeline if you are in the main timeline? because the whole concept of timelines is that they are kind of separate, you know. They're not supposed to bleed into one another and to intermingle and to be simultaneously present, except since we are in the time of the final integration, where what we are currently trying to do and are in the process of doing is to integrate all aspects of ourselves in a single unified whole. And because the Earth is the microcosm of the universe, you see the same phenomenon playing itself with these timelines. Just as we are in the process of integrating all aspects of ourselves in this universe into this vessel, our organic timeline is in the process of integrating all of these alternate ones. And to give an example of a major alternate timeline, have you ever seen, Natalie, the series The Man in the High Castle?
No.
Okay. It's a very fascinating, I would say TV series, but it's streamed, so it's on Amazon Prime. Very fascinating, not very pleasant to watch. I mean, it's not a very violent series, and it's not debaucherous, but it's heavy. It has a really heavy atmosphere to it, and there is no humor, not a shred of humor to that series. But what it shows is an alternate timeline where the Third Reich has won World War II. Now, as we have already discussed, the Nazis didn't lose World War II. Germany lost World War II. That's not the same thing. The Nazis just evolved. They changed tactics and they shapeshifted, you might say. They shapeshifted very successfully, might I add. But in that alternate timeline, there is no Fourth Reich. There is the Third Reich that has stretched to a very sizable portion of the globe. And so even America has been invaded, and the whole eastern part and center part of America are part of the Great Reich, whereas the Pacific coast is a puppet state of the Japanese Empire. And you have that the mountainous area of the Rocky Mountains is a neutral zone between the two empires. Before being a TV series, it was a novel by Philip K. Dick, the science fiction author, and I believe this to actually be reality. I believe that alternate timeline really existed.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a reflection of that in our organic timeline. That reflection being that there is actually a very strong and substantial Nazi presence in the world that is hidden, but that is nevertheless real.
That's very interesting.
Mm.
Do you think that timelines that are close to each other have to have at least a hidden element of the other inside of them? I never thought of it this way, but just now, as you've been talking about it, I thought, yeah, why would that be the case? Maybe it is like it is influencing somehow a nearby timeline. And now that everything is coming together, also at the moment, because of the state of compression, I feel actually, especially in 2020, old stuff is also coming back. So alternative timelines plus replays from the past. For example, for me, it feels a little bit like the Dark Ages have an echo into our 2020 at the moment.
Yeah. And my hypothesis is that also old stuff, some of the old stuff has branched out to form alternate timelines. Mm-hmm. Especially old stuff that was not resolved, and there is a lot of old stuff that didn't get proper resolution.
Actually, wow, that is genius. Yeah, I totally agree. You've just been speaking truth. And actually, poor beings that never went through the process of integrating their shadow, facing all of the hidden stuff, who have been in total denial and bypassing of what's been going on, because they will, of course, have to live it now. And that might be the reason why they are entering a very dystopian reality.
Yeah.
Where all of that is showing up. And to us, it doesn't even feel real anymore because, yeah, been there, done that. Show me something new, yeah?
So, in fact, that process of timeline collapsing into this one and being assimilated into ours can be uncomfortable. And if that is what is going on right now, of course, it's not a pleasant thing to experience, even though we are experiencing it differently. And okay, you want to say something?
No. I'm still in the birthing process.
You're such a universal mother, Natalie.
Yeah, I am, I know.
So I want to tell a little anecdote that might be an example of that. Something that I have very recently lived. So the phase we are in now regarding the whole coronacircus is that our little friends, the social engineers, are trying really hard at the moment to make the wearing of masks mandatory everywhere. It's very obviously coordinated. It doesn't make a shred of sense if you analyze it logically, but of course, the real purpose is not the purpose we are being presented with. And so here in Belgium, a few weeks ago, the government, actually one minister took a decree that people have to wear masks in any closed public space, meaning primarily shops, but also cinemas and theaters and museums and anything that is not open. So bars, cafes, restaurants, if their door is closed. And that really pissed me off, actually. So initially, I was entering shops unmasked, and I had I was how do you say that? I was, what's the word for that? Called out. Yeah, I was called out by some employees who told me that I actually, okay, so first let me explain that the Belgian government was really pervert about this rule. Because if you are found in a shop not wearing a mask, not only you are going to get fined, but the shop owner is going to get fined as well. So this is a way of transforming them into police auxiliaries by putting them under financial pressure as if they hadn't had enough of that, even though supermarkets not at all. So frankly, supermarkets, if they had a shred of decency, they are the ones who have the resources and the means to fight this if they wanted to. But obviously, they don't. They prefer to put their personnel at risk by forcing them to wear masks for 6, 8 days, 8 hours a day. But so initially I was called out and I said, you know what? I don't care if I get fined, but in order to spare you the fine, this is what I'm going to do. See, I have a mask in my pocket. I'm going to put it here on my neck. And if a mean policeman is stepping through the door, I'll quickly pull my mask up so that you don't get in trouble. And I got an agreement for that in 2 shops. And then in supermarkets, I was seen I was seen wearing my my mask on the neck, and I was called out 3 times, and 3 times I actually dismissed the employees who wanted to police me, telling them that I wouldn't do it. I didn't get in trouble, by the way. They backed off. Then it was still bothering me, even though it was only on the neck. It was still bothering me because I really experienced this as a sign of submission, as a sign of obedience. And I really don't like where this is leading, even though I don't think it's going to impact me personally in a very big way. So I decided to try something different. I wrote a paper. In which I certify that the shop employees asked me to put a mask on, and that I refused. And because legally they don't have the right to physically expel me from their premises, they can't be held accountable. That it's entirely my responsibility if I ignored their requests. And my idea was to assuage the fears of the tradespeople if they were to call me out by saying, okay, look at this. You can have this paper from me and I'll sign it for you. And if you are being controlled while I'm here, all you have to do is show the paper, which I haven't had the opportunity to actually try it because I went to 2 shops today, totally unmasked, and nobody told me anything. I was being extra nice with the employees, you know, and it was not with an agenda. Yes, it was with one agenda. In fact, it was with the agenda of staying as human as I could, of being as human as I could, and to not to take the path of the dehumanized society that is proposed to us at the moment. Now, I suspect, I might be wrong about that, but I suspect that part of the reason why nobody said anything is because these 2, it were pretty big shops, you know, pretty big organic shops. not your little small neighborhood health food shop, significantly bigger ones. But it was quiet because it's beginning of August, so many people on vacation. So it was really quiet. So maybe that was part of the reason. What I found interesting to observe were also my own reactions through that whole situation. Because I must say I had some trepidation. I was under stress. I was under stress before, I was under stress on my way, and I was under stress while I was in the shops, especially the first one, because when I saw that absolutely nothing had happened and that I had had pleasant interactions with the people there, I was already much more relaxed when I arrived in the second one. And of course, as I exited the second one, I felt absolutely fine. But you know, I had told myself, okay, see what's going on here. You have some level of fear around this, not because I'm afraid to be fine, mind you, but just because I don't like confrontation. That's really it. I don't like confrontation at all. I don't enjoy it. So, but I told myself, you're going to cope with it. You're going to transcend this. You're not going to accept that imposition. You're not going to let fear hold you back. And I would say it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, yeah, that's really beautiful. I don't know if everybody wants to do it this way, but thank you for showing this possibility to actually find a way how to be truthful to yourself and not bringing the shop owner into trouble.
Mm.
And I really have to say, yeah, here it is the same. The people who own the shop or the cafe, they are getting into trouble. And I once entered a cafe without a mask, but it's it's not even been with intention. I was just so self-absorbed in my reality, you know. Everything is fine, yeah. That I simply entered there, and the employee, I could see the fear. No, 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 please, please, put your mask on. I said, yeah, okay, sorry, I forgot. And it was really, I really forgot. And they are in fear. So thank you for this opportunity to create a way around this, so not make it fearful for the owner of the shop or the employee there. And also for giving an example, for taking full ownership of our own decisions. And I think that is the most important thing. I would say none of us should fall into the trap of ideology. If it doesn't feel true to you, you shouldn't do it. I don't think I'm going to do this, although I'm a different Natalie every day. Maybe tomorrow I'll do it. But today I don't feel like I would do it this way. But everybody should decide for themselves what feels true to them and really act in accordance to this. What really is the own truth, and not fight the system, but go for what is really truthful to you, and what is in alignment with your own authenticity. So I think they can't fight this, because truth will always be stronger. If you know you are truthful to yourself, I think this is something that is going to protect us, and maybe this has been protecting you today too, because you have been truthful to yourself. And I think that is something that has huge energetic power, so to speak.
Okay. Oh, thank you for mentioning that, because that enables me to come back to the first part of the conversation, where we were mentioning people's creative powers. I believe that the more people are assimilated into a hive mind, as we are currently seeing, and the more they are unaware of their creative powers, and the more they are just acting like programmed robots, the less their creative power is potent. It is still going to be big, because we are the human beings. So we are the most powerful creator beings in this universe, even though we don't realize it. But the more conscious you are, of who you really are, and of your creative abilities, actually the most potent your creative impact is. And I believe by orders of magnitude, really by orders of magnitude, you could be thousands of times, or even millions of times, more powerful than a completely programmed person.
Yeah, I agree totally. You can really move mountains.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it. The
And
only
that is
issue
why
we have is that we don't believe in it. That's it.
Yeah.
We have to really prove it to ourselves again and again and again that we have these superpowers to create.
Yeah. And that is why we need to have the majority by our side to turn any situation around. But it's a concept that is well known in revolutions. You know that the majority is not going to make a revolution. It's always a minority. But here we are not talking about a revolution. We are talking about reality shifts. That's different. But it's somehow the same principle. We don't need the majority to become aware. We just need enough of a minority, or a minority that is potent enough, one of the two.
Yeah, I just remember a dream I have had last year in, I don't know, must have been in fall, autumn. I mentioned this while a webinar with George Kavasilas. I had a dream where in the nighttime they tried, I was swimming in a river, and I was swimming in a sidearm, and there were almost no people there, and they tried everything to bring me into the main stream. And somehow I always escaped, you know, somehow I always managed to end up in this sidearm. And that is actually, I think that is what is true. That was kind of prophetic, that they try to bring people into the mainstream. And we are just a few people, but we are the ones who are going to really change this. And maybe there's really, I don't know how this is going to play out in the future, as I believe I know deep inside of me, I know we have the power, and we already did it, to create the organic timeline. And that might be a reason why one of the persons she mentioned, it feels as if it is not real and as if it already happened in the past.
Yeah.
Because we are the ones who are creating the new, and it already happened, kind of seen from a multi-dimensional level.
Yes. Yes.
So she spoke truth there.
Again. Yeah.
That is really, really beautiful. How this is going to really actually happening around us. this splitting of the worlds. I don't know
Yeah.
how this is going to work out, that they are going into their robo dystopian reality where everything is just artificial and they are just batteries hanging in front of, I don't know, virtual reality TV or something like that. Yeah, I don't know how this is going to happen in, yeah, I don't know.
In fact, there are two working hypotheses here. The first one is that we keep integrating all of the alternate timelines. In fact, these two hypotheses are not mutually exclusive. You know, both could happen at the same time. So we have the integration of the alternate timelines, of these, what you might call phantom timelines. And the other hypothesis that might happen at the same time is of a diverging, meaning that we're going to have two main timelines. One being the organic timeline of the full transcendence and metamorphosis of Mother Earth and humanity with her. And the other timeline where a significant portion of the population is getting assimilated into, well, what seems most present at the moment is really technical intelligence realities, dystopian technical intelligence realities. But as we know, there are other things that are in waiting, other, shall I say, predators that are in waiting behind the scenes. So we could also have another timeline of people getting assimilated in spiritual paradigms, in synthetic light spiritual paradigms, like religious heavens and ascended realms and galactic federation of light ships and all that sort of stuff. So one timeline would be the transcendence timeline, and the other timeline would be the harvest timeline, where people would be harvested.
When it comes to the timelines, can you see this picture? If they are really going through this point, then they will again split. You have two main timelines coming together in a point, and then they are going to split again.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
At the moment, this is what looks most likely to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, we don't know the exact scenario. So we might have surprises, but at the moment, as we speak, this is what seems most likely to me.
But that also means that the collapsing of timelines, and they are actually coming together at the moment, also means we have lots and lots of opportunities in our life to create something that is really in alignment with ourselves. And even if something should show up that we dislike, it might be just some old stuff, and I would rather now deal with it and be free from it when I enter the future. Yeah. So to really not take my past unnecessarily into my future. So if people should struggle at the moment with some topics, maybe see it from this point of view to say, yes, bring it on now.
Mm.
So I will be free from it in the future that I am creating, and always coming back to the point, I am creating this, I'm choosing this, and if it's in my life, it's there for a reason, and but I'm making the choices how to deal with it.
So I really would appreciate it if people were being free to really choose the timeline they want to be on, and choosing from a full disclosure foundation, having been told what the real implications are of their choice, meaning there is transparency about, okay, you have this possibility or you have that possibility, and now you choose what you want to do.
Maybe that is the reason why this duality is playing out so extremely at the moment. Because many people, that is something that did frustrate me in the past. I was thinking people are just stupid, they don't know. But recently I realized, no, many people, they know the truth and they ignore it intentionally because they don't want to deal with it. Because when you are facing truth, that means it has an effect on your reality. It means you have to choose differently, or be honest with yourself that you are not such a nice, kind, sweet thing, but that you're sometimes the evil witch too. This version of yourself, and you have to come to terms with yourself. And people are trying to escape from that. And I don't believe actually in the concept of karma, but to me, it seems that if people are not really willing to deal with this reality, that actually there is an element that they will take it with them in the future, what is kind of karma-like, because they have to deal with this. And many people are in denial. So lots of stuff is coming up, and people have the opportunity to see what is going on, but they are deciding they don't want it. Yeah. I've seen that again and again. It was so frustrating for me because I thought, oh, people don't know this. No, actually they know.
Yeah, so today I actually felt like I was willing to be much more compassionate to masked people, even though the situation now is getting really outrageous. In the streets of that city I live nearby, I could see about half of the people I was seeing from my car. About half of those I saw were wearing masks, and it's the middle of summer, you have to realize. And so I believe a few weeks ago I would have felt very frustrated, and I would have gotten into my little inner rant, oh, slaves, are you not ashamed of yourselves? But today I was much more like, okay, guys, that must really be tough for you. It must really be tough for you to live in such fear and to go where you are possibly going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good thing, to see it with compassion. People have the right to choose, and as long as sometimes we need to suffer, sometimes we simply need the experience, because otherwise we don't feel like we are ready to make a different choice. And I also think that is the reason why the second part of this year is going to be more extreme even. As people will be forced to make their choice. It will no longer be possible to just bypass this and just be in denial. Choose, and choose consciously. For me, it is not a thing to choose the right path. But whatever you choose, you have to choose it intentionally. It's not about being the good girl or the good guy, or being, yeah, you can choose to be the badass, yeah, but please do it consciously, because it's way more fun.
If you're gonna do it, at least put your heart into it.
Yeah, I mean it. Yeah, because it's our adventure, and whatever we choose to adventure in, we should do it really, because that is what the hive mind actually is. People are not really in that game. Their awareness is not really there. And actually, yeah, this morning, it came to my awareness. There is this wording that the NPCs, the non-player characters, and some people use this wording very often, and they say these people don't have the this the spark, the divine spark. And I always said, no, that's not true, because I can feel and see the spark in every being, and it is there. Just it is so dormant. It is so dormant, and I believe for our creator being, living in reality, living 9 to 5 life is so boring for our infinite being, for the adventurous soul that we are, that there's not much of us in the game. And if people should choose to go into this robo dystopian life, I think their creator being will not be very much present there. And that is what is real for, what is also true for me in the whole technical intelligence universe, that it is an experience. We go into those kinds of reality, but it's a very shallow experience from my point of view. I wouldn't, yeah, maybe because I've been there, done that, so I think it's boring. But yeah, for me that is, it doesn't feel as alive. It doesn't feel so vibrant as you have described the natural organic timeline. The colors are more extreme. Oh, food. Sorry, I jumped from one point to the next. I have experienced Chris Geo from Beyond the Whale. He described that they were out lately, and the food were tasting crappy all the time. The food was tasteless. And I was pondering about that, and I realized something. Yeah, because the people who are doing it, they don't do it with, their heart is not with them when they cook, because in the past, when I was younger and I was married and a mother, and we always had friends coming to my place, they always loved my food totally. And when they wanted the recipe, and they did it, and it didn't taste that way.
It was a disaster, yeah.
Yeah, and I said, yeah, must be because I'm doing it with love. It is because I'm present. It is a kind of flow normally. Yeah. If you're in the flow, you're in alignment with your being, and that is so tasty and yummy if someone is creating food this way. And so this organic timeline, the colors, if you look out, if you are in the state of being, when you are in alignment with yourself, the colors of the flower, they are shining, they are vibrant, and this other life, for me, as I said, I'm living in both worlds, and for a long time it was almost, I couldn't stand it because it felt gray, gray, boring, tasteless, lifeless. Yeah, and actually, no, I'm not going there. No way. No way.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel I have said what I wanted to say for today. So, is there anything you would like to add, Natalie?
No, I think that's it. We can choose, and yeah, choose wisely. Yeah.
All right. So we'll wrap it up. I just want to make a recommendation because what you just said made me think of it. If you have the opportunity, watch the movie Happy, which is a documentary movie I saw a few years ago on Netflix. And it's because you were mentioning the cooking that I thought of it, because one of the people who appeared at some point in that movie was a cook, a black man, who was explaining how, when he does his cooking in the kitchen of the restaurant, at some point he enters the zone, as he called it, and indeed everything is flowing, everything is in a beautiful natural flow. So lots of very good golden nuggets in that movie. I highly recommend it.
Happy. You
Happy.
know. Okay. Who did create it? Do you know? No. Okay.
No.
I'll search for it. I'm sure I will enjoy it.
Yeah. So it is showing different people from different parts of the world who are actually explaining how happy they are. And it's not what you might imagine. It's a very poor family man in slums in India. It's native people in some African country, one of the original people from Africa, who are living with nothing in the bush. Bushmen, they're bushmen actually. And this black man was, for example, a guy who lives in Brazil as a surfer with his children. Beautiful, really beautiful. So that's a kind of reality I'm quite willing to experience. We are done for today, and we thank you for your attention. And we'll be back again soon for some new deep dives. In the meantime, I'm not going to say stay safe because it would burn my tongue. Stay amazing, stay happy, stay beautiful, stay vibrant. Yeah. See you soon, guys and gals.
Bye.
Bye.